Bad-eyed Bears fans, another edition of the Chicago Bears podcast coming your way. Pat the designer, Jason McKie back at it on a Wednesday. Very jam-packed Wednesday here as always on the Chicago Bears podcast because there's plenty of Bears to talk. Me and Mache talked on Monday about, off-season pressure and different leaps that we want to see taken this season. What do we want to see from Caleb Williams this year? What do we think is a fair expectation for him? And should playoffs be in the equation? Got to talk about that. Jaylon Johnson setting some high standards on FS1's The Speak when talking about, what he has going planned for this season. I kind of sit on Keyshawn Johnson's side with some of the expectations, but we'll see. Hopefully it plays out, and we're talking about 7 pick sixes. And, of course, our dog of the week with Jason McKie. All that and more in today's episode of the Chicago Bears podcast. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. J-Mac, what's going on? You and Lil Mac in the building, my guy.
Lil Mac in the building, Lil Mac. See, I got my office back now, so I got Lil Mac joining us. Shout out to my guy, Jason Ponce, who actually created this for me. You see, this is exactly what I wore in the Super Bowl. So
the amount of detail is crazy.
Yeah, the detail is ridiculous. I know
the amount of detail is nuts.
You was trying to clown me before the podcast. For you guys who didn't hear, you tried to say this looks a little skinny to be me.
No, I'm just saying.
And well, you're right. Though in the beginning of the season, September, I was this skinny because it was still warm out. But you get into
that's Super Bowl. By the Super Bowl, you had a few steaks.
Yeah. I was eating good. We were eating good down there in Miami, man. I went from J Mac to Fat Mac. So yeah. We was eating good down there. So Lil Mac gonna join the show, man.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with a little Fat Mac. And shoot, I go from Pat the designer to Fat the designer once a week. It's okay. You know what I mean? It's all right. I understand it. Lost all that weight, had the kid, and was like, 2 a.m. pizza puffs don't sound bad when you just up for no reason.
I'm trying to tell you, man. Don't judge me. Don't judge me.
I'm not gonna lie to you though. We gotta have a real moment on this podcast. I got a little beef with Carmel right now, man.
No, what happened?
Your boy did Illinois dirty. I was sitting there. I was like, as an Illinois fan, I was like, wait a minute, no.
Yeah, it was. It was. I mean, nobody expected that. We knew where he was going. So when he put the U of I hat on, there was confusion, and then obviously what happened with the hat, it was a learning lesson for him.
I'm sure.
Yeah, we were pretty upset with what he did. He was upset with himself. I think the heat of the moment got to him. Yeah, and I don't think he really realized he was like throwing the hat. He was just taking it off and putting the Nebraska hat on. So he came out and he apologized. I think that's huge. That shows his character. Him apologizing. He's only a sophomore, so he's got to learn. So I felt like in his biggest moment came his biggest lesson at the same time, which is huge. So, he's got to learn, and, he loves a lot of those coaches at U of I as well. So, I know he didn't mean no disrespect, but I'm glad 100%. He apologized after. So, yeah, it was an adventure of a day, to say the least.
It was it was 2 moments for me. Number one was because I'm sitting there watching. I'm like, okay, snap, U of I. Wait a minute. So like, the Illinois fan of me is excited because one, I'm like, oh, this is about to be great. He about to be here. We gonna have him on the show. All of that. And then he does the hat toss and goes to Nebraska. There was that moment where I was like, dang, he had to do us like that. And then I instantly was like, oh, he got to go talk to J-Mac and Olin after that. No, young fella.
Yeah, he had to talk to his parents. They were pretty upset. But, it's
a learning moment.
Yeah, it's a learning moment. You got to realize now as we know, with social media and all these things, you're always going to be under a microscope. There's always going to be some type of video. And hey, you know what? I can't even tell you the amount of things I did when I was a sophomore in high school. I'm not going to tell you. You know what I'm saying?
Please don't. The statute of limitations has passed, but I can't imagine Florida J-Mac in high school.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So he understands, what he did, and he could have handled it differently. But I think, him apologizing, because it was bothering him the whole time.
Yeah.
We went out to dinner after, and he was kind of, upset with himself. So, he made the apology, and I think he's definitely going to learn from it.
I think he's going to be, first off, I think he's going to end up starting very quickly at Nebraska as somebody seeing him on the field and seeing Trey from a distance with what he could do at Nebraska. I watched a lot of Dylan Raiola last year. The only thing Pat Mahomes about him is that he looked like Pat Mahomes when he cut his hair like that. When I saw it, I was like, no, that was a good decision. You might get on the field a little bit quicker there. So it'll be exciting to see what the future's going to bring for him, man. Still got a lot of time here in high school. I'm not going to lie to you. I was shocked when I got the notification that he was declaring already. I was like, oh, okay. Like he locked in. So it's going to be fun to see where that young man's career takes him. This is not going to be the defining moment. As an Illinois fan, I was crushed. I was excited.
It's still, it's still 2 years from now, so a lot of things can change. Right now it's just, he likes Nebraska, but a lot of things can change from now. So we'll see what happens in 2 years if his decision remains the same. They got a good coaching staff. U of I has a great coaching staff. Coach Bielema has been in school. I think he's done a tremendous job. Obviously, he's getting more and more highly touted recruits to go there, and he's getting the highly touted recruits to stay in state as well, which is huge. Because like before, a lot of the best players in the state were going, down to Michigan State. They were leaving the state, and he's doing a good job of retaining those guys. So that's a program that's going to continue to be on the up and up. So nothing but respect for that program and the players there as well.
I'm excited, man. I'm excited. It's amazing what you can do when Nick Saban's not the only one throwing millions of dollars at play. I don't know if he did or not, but it's very fishy that all of a sudden Alabama's like everybody else. I'm not saying he did. Nick Saban, greatest coach all time, college football, no disrespect, but the wallet was deep. Well, let's talk about a little bit of Bears football here, J-Mac, because like I said, on Monday, me and Shay talked about, some of the pressures that are going to happen around Caleb Williams and who has the most pressure on them this offseason, after this offseason, I should say. But to me, now the conversation shifts to expectations, right? What are we expecting from the season? Because there are all of these things of wait and see that everybody has. As Bears fans, as a former Bears player, we're all jaded. Right. At the end of the day, it's like, we're excited. We're going to win 12 games. How did we win 4? That never ends up being, where we want to finish here. But I think expectations being set is not saying this is what I believe is going to happen. When you look at Caleb Williams, everything that's been done this offseason is been to benefit him, bringing in Ben Johnson, bringing in Antoine Randall, who I think adds to the offensive side of things, fixing the offensive line. I've said even a ton of people talk about it in separate worlds, but like bringing in defensive players helps your quarterback because they can get the ball back, right? So with everything that's been done, where are your expectations at on Caleb Williams heading into this season? This was a good season for Caleb for you right now?
Yeah, for me, it's just, at the end of the day, there's no excuses. And it's always like that in the NFL. There's no excuses, right? Injuries happen. Oh, there's still no excuses. Next man up. That's why you build a 53-man roster with an expanded practice squad because, hey, the backup is the starter in the NFL. So guys got to be ready. And when you look at, obviously, what the Bears have done this offseason with Caleb, trying to revitalize or revamp that offensive line. You're bringing in weapons at receiver. You just drafted Luther Bird. You drafted Colston Loveland. Cole Kmet will be back. And it's you bring in, an intelligent offensive mind as a head coach and Ben Johnson and the support staff that he has around him. Like we keep talking about Eric Bieniemy, all these guys that have, Eric Bieniemy was a former offensive coordinator who's been around one of the best to ever do it, and Andy Reid over there in Kansas City. So I think those are some of the things that's going to help Caleb develop and have a good season. And the pressure is definitely on. You were the number 1 overall pick. You come in here and the Bears have geared and revamped this offense for you to have success. Yeah. And you look at some of your peers, you look at the success that Jane Daniels had this year. You look at the success that Bo Nix has had as well. Those guys, I don't think they're going to take a back seat this year. I don't think there's going to be a sophomore slump with them guys. So you have no excuses to not go out here and to win games and to perform at a high level. And that's the expectation. That comes along with being the number 1 guy, the highly touted guy. You're getting a new offense in which we know, Ben Johnson has proven it time and time again during his time in Detroit that he's going to put an offense out there that's going to score points, that's going to make sure his playmakers are in position to make those plays. So I expect Caleb to take a huge jump. I think the biggest thing is now, I look at it like you're learning a whole new system in your second year in the league. So you go from one system to another system, which, I mean, that's what they're doing now at Hallis Hall. All season right now, they're lifting, they're learning the system. They go out there in mini camps, stuff like that, and put it together in training camp, and they go out there and play. So I just think there's no excuses. I think Caleb has to go out there, obviously has to win games, but from a quarterback standpoint, when you're the number one pick, it's just not good enough to go out there and just win games, Pat. You have to go out there and make – I think you have to go out there and produce. You got to have the numbers as well.
Now, that is an interesting point. One I want to go down the road on with that, right? Versus production versus the wins, right? Mm-hmm. We do want to let you guys know first, Chicago Bears podcast brought to you by the Advantage Dealer Group. Find your next Chevy, Toyota, or Acura and drive off in under 60 minutes, or they'll make your first car payment. Also brought to you by the Hard Rock Casino in Northern Indiana, Las Vegas-style gaming, just 30 minutes from Soldier Field. Exit 6 right off I-80 94. When you talk about J-Mac,
mm-hmm.
Now the expectation on Caleb being raised up, right? We need to see more out of him coming into this season, and that the wins aren't good enough, that you have to also be out there and prove that you are the franchise quarterback. My question to you would be, in his second year, in the first season of learning a system, would winning and doing it in a team or a more team friendly manner, right? Say, i.e. Jalen Hurts last season. We're going with what's working. I'm handing this football off. I don't know if we got a Saquon Barkley and Kyle Mullen guy, but I'm handing this football off to the running back on this play. I may not come away with the touchdown in that. Wouldn't that mean more to him being a franchise quarterback in the beginning of this than by the end of it? And where my mind goes is, right, I mean, if we really want to have an argument, for the first 3 Super Bowls, Tom Brady was turning around and getting out of the way versus being the Tom Brady we saw in the latter 4, where it was like, put the ball in my hands, I'm going to go down here and we're going to win this game.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. So as Bears fans and analysts and as the Bears organization, they'll take the wins because the wins are going to get you in the playoffs and give you an opportunity to compete for a Super Bowl. But at the same time, it gets to a point to where when you're drafted to not just the number one pick, when we're drafted to be a franchise quarterback, you've got to make those type of franchise-altering plays on the field. So you can't just – it's not good enough just to be a game manager, right, to have pedestrian stats, right? There's going to be times in the game where you're going to have to be a playmaker, right? And we saw signs of that last year with Caleb, right? We see him escape the pocket, evade the blitz, go out there, throw the ball, rolling to his right off one foot, complete an accurate pass, making a play. And that's the expectation, right? You have to be an elite quarterback in this league. Yes, the wins are, you got to manage the game, right? We're not going to go out here and just make foolish mistakes in critical situations, turning the ball over just because we're trying to make plays. When you're trying to make those plays, the plays will come. But in critical situations, right, third and long or third and medium, you're the franchise quarterback. Like, you have to make those plays. Like, you have to become that playmaker. You have to become that franchise-altering player that you were drafted number 1 overall to be. And that's what I mean by, it's the expectations is high because now there's no excuses like we keep talking about. You got some linemen, you got some receivers. We're still figuring out the running back room, right? But at the end of the day, like, we put an infrastructure around you, not just in terms of a play, but from the top down, from the head coach all the way down to the position coach. You talk about revitalizing a defense that's going to get you the ball back. Now it's your job to go out here and to take full command of this offense, but we need you to make the plays when they need to be made. So we need that wild play. If you got to, evade, escape the pocket, evade the blitz and make that big throw for a touchdown downfield, we expect you to do that if you are truly that franchise quarterback.
Now, see, that I agree with, right? I think the moments, and we saw that last season. It's why I feel confident about Caleb coming into this season. The Washington game we're talking about as a win if Tyree Stevenson ain't dancing over there and Matt Eberflus don't be like, who needs 15 yards?
I hate that game.
They show us so much. They show us so much. I can't let NFL Network run. I fell asleep on NFL Network.
Like
woke
just
up,
rub
Washington game.
Yeah, just rub salt in the wound. Like, golly, bro. Like, man.
But right, like we saw those moments from Caleb. The first Packer game, Caleb drives you down the field, puts you in a position to kick the field goal, blocked away. Second Packer game, Caleb drives you down the field, puts you in a position to kick the field goal, kicks the field goal, wins it. Cairo does the weird. I don't know what that was, but I mean, like there's, to me, the moments make the franchise quarterback, where I feel like a lot of people are going to come into this season looking at the numbers, and numbers-wise, right, it's just going to take time for Caleb and this offense to completely gel. If they hit the ground running week 1, God bless. But the realistic scenario is that it's probably going to take some time for 5 offensive linemen to figure out how to work together. It's going to take time for Caleb Williams to have a full understanding of the system. It's going to take time for everybody to know exactly how to run the routes. Very similar to what we saw at the beginning of the year last year, where we thought they got to a point where they hit the ground running. But in all of that, if you're telling me that Caleb Williams is 235-ish yards per game, touchdown and a half average over the season, that means he had a 4,000-yard season, 25 touchdowns.
Right.
Like that's a good season, but it may not be what a lot of people view as a elite season from the quarterback position.
Yeah, and there's 2 things, right? When you look at it from this standpoint, right? There's quarterbacks you win with, game managers, right? You win with them, right? Because you had a solid run game. You know, your defense got those takeaways and put you in advantageous
little Dilfer, if you will.
Huh?
A little Trent Dilfer, if you will.
Yes. You see what I'm saying? Like the defense put you in advantageous, field position to put points on the board, right? You didn't have to have a long 10-play drive and stuff like that, right? Those are quarterbacks that you win with, game managers, right? Now, I think Caleb, when you're a highly touted guy and, you're coming in when you have a head coach like Ben Johnson, who's an offensive mind, I think, my expectation of him is being a quarterback you win because. You win because Caleb Williams was elite. You win because Caleb Williams went out there and threw 3 touchdowns. You know what I'm saying? You win because Caleb Williams converted on 3rd and 14 when he shouldn't have, and he made that wild play where he scrambled to his left, threw the ball back to his right to DJ Moore for, a touchdown or a big 3rd down conversion in a critical situation. Like, that's winning because to where you're an elite player. Like Washington, right? Jaden Daniels, they won a lot of games because they won because of Jaden Daniels' play.
Yeah.
Bo Nix at Denver, they won because Bo Nix made some plays. Yeah. And not to mention, he's got a great offensive mind like Sean Payton. But when you have a great offensive mind that can develop quarterbacks, that has a track record of developing quarterbacks, and that puts a system together for quarterbacks to be successful and not just be game managers, you have to win because of. And I think
makes him look a little easier.
Yes. So Ben Johnson, like, hey, like there's going to be times where, we're going to have a solid run game. The defense is going to play well, and Caleb may not play all that well. That's fine. We'll take the dub. But at the end of the day, if we want to be elite and we're throwing out getting to the playoffs, we're throwing out that word Super Bowl. Well, guess what? You got to win because of. The year we went to the Super Bowl, I'm not going to say we won because of our offense. We were inconsistent. We won because of our defense and our special teams. We won because you had the best returner to ever do it. We won because you had a Hall of Famer in Brian Urlacher. We won because you have a future Hall of Famer in Lance Briggs. We won because of you have should be a future Hall of Famer in Peanut Tillman. You had Nathan Vasher, you had Mike Brown. I mean, we won because we had elite players that played at an elite level, and especially in critical situations.
In those moments.
We had an elite offensive line, that we could run the ball with, we had an elite offensive line.
That is it too. And I think that's the part where, for me, not to say my expectations on Caleb are low this season, right? Like I think that my expectations for Caleb are fit into Ben Johnson's system right now and win.
Yeah.
And I think people will look at that and say, well, those are low expectations. Well, I watched Jared Goff do that and put up phenomenal numbers while he did it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there were moments where you had to rely on Jared Goff. He threw a 5-interception game where he came back and threw 5 touchdowns because, all right, we down. You got to throw this football, get it to the right guy. And that's where the relationship comes in. But I do, right, like, for me, I look at a situation again. I mentioned Philly. I look at a Jalen Hurts situation. I think you mentioned this, right? Every game, Jalen Hurts wasn't a dude.
Right.
But in the biggest game, at the biggest stage, and I don't care what anybody says, somebody had to complete them passes because Saquon Barkley wasn't running them yards. They were selling out to make sure Saquon Barkley did not get off that game. That's the moment you had to rely on Jalen Hurts most. Guess what he was able to do? Now, you had the amazing Whites running back pick sixes because Pat Mahomes was getting his head kicked in all day. You had all of these things on the defensive side that added to it. But you got to score touchdowns on the other side. And Jalen Hurts was throwing dots in that game. And I feel like that was the theme where kind of you look at him last year and he gets a little bit more disrespected. And I don't want to see Caleb throw 2,900 yards this season. But I think he gets a little bit more disrespected because, well, you're not throwing the football every play. Yes, but when they call on him to do it, he does it at a high level, an efficient level. And I think that, to me, would be more exciting to see from Caleb Williams
100%.
than, dare I say, look at the opposite side of it, right? A Justin Herbert situation. Justin Herbert throws for 400 yards, 3 touchdowns in a game. And when the game's on the line, here we go. We're driving down the field. We can win the game. Oh,
that's what I mean.
Again, he threw a pick six. Look at him go. Look at that down the sideline.
Right. And that's what I mean. Like, we won this game because you executed that 2-minute drill to win the game for us. Like, you're that highly touted. That's the expectation. You're the franchise quarterback. You came in here to alter the franchise, right? To go out here and to change, the view of Chicago quarterbacks throughout history, right? You're supposed to be the chosen one. You're gonna do whatever you want. You want to crown him, anoint him. But at the end of the day, right? In the biggest moments, you were chosen number one, right? To go out there because we need to win because of you. We need to win because Caleb executed a 2-minute drive and bam, crushed the Packers on the game-winning touchdown. You know what I'm saying? We need to win because Caleb Williams can execute in critical moments. Third and whatever, we know Caleb Williams. We know we can convert on third and long, third and short, third and whatever, because we have an elite quarterback. Yeah. So yes, we'll take the wins, but I think in order for the Bears to get to where they want to go, and it's obvious, what's the goal? Not just obvious winning the Super Bowl every year, right? But in order for the Bears, right, to win the NFC North, to get into the playoffs, and have the chance to compete for a Super Bowl, they're going to have to win because of Caleb Williams.
Yeah. No, 100%. The quarterback is what it comes down to. There are some outliers, I think, right? You look at, Baltimore both times, I guess, if we're being honest, right? Although playoff Flacco was different. Flacco was a different beast.
You can look at the Tampa Bay when they had Brad Johnson, right? Yeah. They didn't, was Gruden was the head coach, wasn't he? Wasn't Gruden the head coach?
Yeah, Gruden was the head coach.
He was nicey down there. Like, he had a nicey defense. He had a nicey defense. You know what I'm saying? Like, you had all those guys on that defense. Warren Sapp, Derek Brooks, shout out Picola's finest, Derek Brooks, hometown guy. But you had who was it? Rondé Barber was on it. Yep. John Lynch was there. Come on. Simeon Rice, a Chicago guy. You had a defense that was elite, and you had a defense that you won because of. So we didn't need our quarterback, Brad Johnson, to go out there and throw for 300 yards a game and 3 touchdowns, right? We needed to manage the game. We need to win with him because we have a defense that we're going to win because of.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it comes down to. Who are you winning because of? And I think, what Detroit last year was because a lot of the offense. And hopefully we see more of that here in Chicago. My expectation is find a way to win for the first season.
Yeah.
Find a way to win. Now, in the long run, do I want Caleb Williams to be the Pat Mahomes 5,000-yard, 56 touchdown? Yes. Everyone wants that quarterback. But what I don't want is we get to the end of every season and Caleb Williams is Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert's fun. He's exciting. He'll give you some great seasons. Yeah. But when the pressure's on, he throws a pick six. When the pressure's on, he's going to throw intercept. He's going to put you like everybody always talks about that season where the Jaguars come back. I always talk about that season when Justin Herbert choked away a 4-touchdown lead in the first half. You know what I mean? It's like, how did you find a way to do that? All you had to do is not screw up the second half of the game.
You get to the point where we don't want to lose because you know what I'm saying?
And that's my point. Like I think with Caleb, the expectation for me right now is find a way to win by any means necessary. If it means you're throwing for 400 yards, great. If it means you're throwing for 151, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, but for some reason this is the game that DeAndre Swift destroys, right? And he's got 300 yards rush or total yardage. Like, I don't care how it's done. Winning to me is going to set this team on a path where you get the most out of everybody. And I think that's the part where the Bears have had talented players over the last 10 years. Yep. There's been talent on the team. They've added talent. It's why Bears fans get excited in the offseason. But when you start losing consistently, talent stop mattering. Because dudes is just like, all right, that's enough.
Yeah.
I think we saw that last season. I think we saw that from one person by the end of the season for sure in Jaylon Johnson, who just seemed like he was done with last year. He came out strong on FS1's The Speak when talking with Joy Taylor and Keyshawn Johnson and Paul Pierce about what his expectations are for the upcoming season. Hit that like button if you have not done so. Subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. They asked him, what are your expectations for yourself this season? What are your goals? And his quote was, I just wrote my numbers down to, I want to have 7 interceptions. All right. 3 forced fumbles. Definitely can do that. So he means 10 turnovers in total. And he wants to have no touchdowns given up and no gains over 50 yards. First team All-Pro. Again, that's a given. But he just as far as numbers go, he wants to get in the end zone 3 times for sure. Now, J-Mac, I love Jaylon Johnson. I love the talk. I love the energy. I love how but when Keyshawn Johnson laughed and said, I know you can't catch, I kind of was like, I don't know about the 7 interceptions, but I think this is the thing. Jaylon Johnson, very vocal, very confident. He always has been. But putting numbers on the table is a little bit different this upcoming season. It sounds like the Ben Johnson coaching staff has Jaylon Johnson not just expecting to win, as Ben Johnson talked about, but to dominate.
Yeah, I mean, I love Jaylon Johnson. I mean, he's a dog. His work ethic is ridiculous. You know, I know a lot of the Bears fans, they don't get the opportunity, you know, that we get being at practice. And so, you know, it's you know, he's one of the best players on the team, and rightfully
he's always the last one off the field.
Exactly. Always. Every time I've been there, training camp, whatever, practice, he's always staying after, but not just, you know, for himself. He's getting the young guys like that. He's making them stay after as well. 100%. So I love Jaylon Johnson. He is a dog. And, you know, I'm not going to question, like, those are his numbers, and I'm not he can hit all those numbers. I mean, look at the year before the last, right? How many interceptions did he drop? I think he dropped like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, I mean, it's possible.
Well, that's where the 7 interceptions gets tough, J-Mac. You drop 4 or 5, they're not going to give you that many. And Jaylon is not getting thrown at a ton.
Yeah, but I think he's going to have opportunities, right? Because you're going to see more man coverage with a Dennis Allen defense. 100%. And he even talked about in that interview that, you know, he wants to travel with the best receiver. So, you know, it's one-on-one, mano a mano. Can our best beat your best? So I think he's going to have more opportunities. But, you know, I think Jaylon is such a great player. You know, I'm not going to – I like those numbers. I like his confidence, and that shows that, you know, he's got a high belief in himself, but it also shows the belief that he has, you know, in this new defensive scheme that they're implementing up there at Hallis Hall.
Jaylon, the last couple of seasons, has basically not been targeted. They've tried to literally not throw the football his way. Does that change for an offense when the number 1 DB is following around the number 1 receiver all day? Because essentially, right, like, I don't have to throw at you if for 10 plays of the game I put Justin Jefferson on Tyreek Stevenson because he's going to catch 7 of them 10. And that's going to get him the receptions I need. That's going to get me the 100 yards that I'm looking for. Versus if Jaylon Johnson is following you around all day, eventually I got to throw to Justin Jefferson. But with what they did last year, you kind of could avoid Jaylon Johnson. I don't think you'll be able to do that this year.
Yeah, they're going to – I mean, at the end of the day, as an offensive coordinator, you want to get your best players the ball. So if it's a one-on-one situation, you know, I like the fact that my best player can beat your one player consistently. You know what I mean? So there's going to be opportunities for Jaylon. Like you said, that'll be a great matchup. Him and Justin Jefferson, he's following him around. I think that when you look at it like this too, offensive coordinators are smart, right? They're going to find ways to scheme their best player open, whether it's man coverage, zone coverage. You know, they'll find a way to get a pick or a natural rub in there to create space for that receiver to make plays. And, you know, as an offensive coordinator, it's players over scheme. It's players over plays, right? There's a lot of calls that offensive coordinators make that are bad calls, but because you have an elite player, he transcends the call and makes it great. So at the end of the day, like, I've got to find ways to get my best player touches and targets and things of that nature. So I can't look at it like, oh my God, that's Jaylon Johnson on this side. He's following around Justin Jefferson. No, like, we're going to come at you. And I like that. And Jaylon accepts that role. He even said in an interview, like, I want to follow the best receiver. I want to go against the best. And that's how competitive he is. And, you know, we've seen it time and time again. Dude's a dog. He makes plays. You know, I think that it's very possible for him. I mean, that's a lot of interceptions, but at the same time, like, hey, given the opportunities, the way he plays the game at a high level week in and week out, you know, that's a attainable number in my opinion for him.
The interesting thing for me with Jaylon is going to be, can he be that guy as a PBU DB? I would love to believe he's going to get 7. I hope he does get 7. Get 7, run all 7 of them back. Let's start there. Run it. Take every 7 of them to the house.
3 of them. He wants to get in the end zone 3 times.
Yeah. Getting in the end zone 3 times, getting in the end zone 7 times. I want to see him do as great as possible. But over his career right now, he's got 7 interceptions in total. His best season, the season he got paid, he had 4. I believe he got 2 of them in the one Raiders game, and then got 2 of them over the
he dropped that year too. He dropped probably 5.
There was a lot of drops that season, and so that's why I can't sit here and say he's just going to be the takeaway DB, right? That you have to fear. And I think the guys you couldn't throw the football at was that, right? Revis Island. I can't throw the football at Darrelle Revis because it's not that he's going to knock the football down. It's he may take this thing all the way back to the house, but he definitely may come away with it. Deion Sanders, right? You look at all those guys who are at the top of the interception list as far as DBs. A lot of them those are the guys that you kind of say, okay, I'm not going to attack that guy. I feel like Jaylon Johnson is just going to get attacked more this season because he is more of a PBU guy, especially early on in the season. Now, listen, if he's knocking everything away by the end of the season, they may say it is what it is. But it seems like he's kind of going for that, like, it's about to be Johnson Island out here. Which, that's crazy. I'm not, that was. Got to come up with a different name for that one. We may have to edit that one out the podcast. Diddy, what are you doing here?
What island you go? Gilligan, what island?
Oh,
what
God.
What island you
going to? Wow. That was insane.
Lil Mac, what island is what island is
cover your ears, Lil Mac.
Hey, Lil Mac gonna lead the show. Lil Mac has exited the show. Lil Mac said, what? Get out of here, man.
I know JJ Island. We gonna call it JJ Island. Yeah, maybe he's on JJ Island. I don't know if you could be the island guy if you are a PBU DB, which I think Jaylon Johnson more is, and he's phenomenal at it. Like the ball doesn't.
That's what you want though. I mean, if you're not getting those takeaways, I want the PBUs. That means I'm doing my job. You know what I'm saying? So I think that the goals that he has, a lot of it is it's going to be predicated on, I think that D-line getting pressure as well. You know what 100%. I'm saying? Giving them some opportunities and stuff like that too. But I think, they're very attainable goals for a player of his caliber, and I'm not going to second guess him at all because I know for a fact that he's been putting in the work this offseason every single year. So I'm excited about it. I'm glad he's talking that way. And I'm excited to see how he looks in this new defensive scheme that Dennis Allen is bringing here in Chicago.
I think the wild part is, J-Mac, that the 7 interceptions is the part that seems insane to me. Yeah. I think he can be the DB that doesn't give up a touchdown. I think he can be the DB that doesn't have more than 50 yards gained on him in an offensive system. He should have been an all-pro years ago. Like that's not even he should have been an all-pro the last couple of years, given first team. Right. I don't think that there truly is a better coverage DB in the NFL than Jaylon Johnson, but the 7 interceptions will be interesting. I give him the 3 forced fumbles. Call up Peanut. Call up Peanut.
I think he's gonna get that. He's gonna get that. Like he's gonna get that.
I feel like he could be a good peanut punch guy. You know what I mean? He's a little slender, especially as a PBU guy. You let the ball get in the hand, pow.
Yeah,
that Peanut was different, bro.
It's gonna be exciting to see, man. I think obviously we're always excited in the offseason as Bears fans. We're off-season champs, off-season whatever.
We got 3 banners, baby.
I'm tired of hearing that, man. We got to translate into the season now. We ain't all-season champs. I feel like that's I don't know. I'm kind of insulted when they say we're the all-season champ. To be quite honest, I'm insulted, man.
I mean, it is the tough part about it, and I get why fans say it, I get why people do it and stuff like that, is because it feels like if other teams made the moves we made over the last couple of years, it works. It feels like if other teams go out, now I don't know about the offensive line decision for last offseason, right? But like when I see other teams go out and they add a bunch of wide receivers and they add the young quarterback and they add the running game and they add defensive pieces in there to stand next to guys who are already talented, we sit there and we just like, oh, look at that. They're back in the playoffs. Like, how'd they get good so fast? And then when the Bears do it, it's like, all right, this was fun. Now go get your 6 win.
Right. That's what I mean.
Like,
it's you can make all the moves you want all season.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna win shit in the off season. Now, one thing you can win, like right now, get off season. I want to win the weight room right now. I want to win. Let's win the playbook right now. Let's win the weight room. Let's win daily preparation.
Come on now.
Let's win, bonding and building team chemistry. Let's win that. And that's going to translate to results during the regular season. Let's win accountability. Let's win culture. Let's win let's be the culture off-season champs. You know what I'm saying? Because those are all things, when you look at all those things, right? Those are the reasons why the Bears have had the type of seasons they've had the past few years, right? We talk about the accountability, the expectations, the standard, not just within the team or the head coach, but for the entire building. Like, what is the standard? What is the culture?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What is the expectation for the entire building? So every department in that building, all the way down to the nutrition, all the way down to the janitors, everybody has a standard and expectation. The equipment staff, my guy T-Med, he's got a standard. Like, everything's got to be perfect. Everything's got to be at an elite level. You know what I mean? Let's win that. Let's win the details, of the off season. And I think that's a start to helping you have a chance at being successful during the season. Now we got to go out there and play and make the plays. But when you have that type of foundation and, you're overly attentive to details, then it gives you a chance to be good. Don't mean you're going to be good. It gives you a chance to be good.
Yeah.
But I think we failed because there's a lot of things that, especially last year, we saw that kind of got swept under the rug. Guy drops the ball in practice, runs back to the huddle. No accountability. Nobody says nothing like, oh, we'll get it on Sunday. Goes out on Sunday, drop the same pass. That was a third down conversion right there. We just dropped, but we dropped it in practice. It's going to carry over.
I forget who it was last year when we were at training camp. I remember we were sitting in the stands and somebody was wide open. It was a running back too, because I think Chad was chewing him out, but it was like he just kind of got back to the huddle. That mug dropped the wide open pass. J-Mac was like, all right, that's enough. And just left the practice.
I probably did.
It's like, all right, that's enough. I was like, J-Mac, come back. You're like, I can't watch this, bro. Like, he got pads on. He dropping passes.
It was painful, man. Like, hey,
he didn't make the team, so it don't matter. He didn't end up making the team, but it was just funny. Like,
it's family, man. It's family. When they lose, I feel like I lose. I feel like we all lose. The whole city loses. When they lose, the whole city loses. I take it to heart like I played the game.
Bro,
my wife's like, why are you so mad? Packers beat us again. You ain't even played. What you mean the Packers beat us? Nah, they beat us.
Bro, I think Shay was talking about, he was like, I don't tie like my happiness throughout the week to my sports team. So like I'm not like crushed. And I was like, did you feel Chicago the week after that Washington loss?
Man.
Like I could feel the city just like
I got on the plane with my Bears hat inside out. Like I was like,
oh, you were rally capping it. You were rally capping.
Please no. No, it didn't happen. Please no.
It didn't happen. Bro, I watched that. I still watch that play. I'm just like, how did we get here? Anyway, we can't go back. Let me ask you this, because this has been a concern of Yurko's, who's also on the podcast. He was on here yesterday. And his concern was that you saw a team last season, I think that we can say this, that was just done by the end of the season, right? You had fired 2 coaches already. You had a new head coach in there. You weren't going to the playoffs. You weren't winning. Yes, you won that last Packers game. Packers game is always going to mean a little bit more. But for most of it, it felt like it was a team that was like, all right, we just ready to be gone here.
Yeah.
Do you have – what's a good way to ask it? Can you have an expectation of players who have already essentially said, we're done here, once before, that they're just magically going to get on board, not be in the give up mindset, not be in the we're done here mindset coming in the next season? Or is this going to be a couple of seasons of turnover where it's like the guys who were okay with that may not be here by the end?
Yeah, it's a fresh start. So, you better buy in. He ain't going to be here. It's a whole new start, whole new regime, and a whole new set of standards and expectations, right? A whole different type of culture that you're trying to build, a whole different vibe you're trying to create throughout the building, a whole new way of doing things. Everything's new. So as a player, the last regime's the last regime. That's the past. You have to, look forward to the future and buy in. You can't be, oh, we're still going to, no, you have to buy in if you expect to have a job. So that's not going to be, I don't think players having, living off of what happened in the past, that's not going to happen. They got to move forward and get on board with what's going on if you want to be on this Bears team. So
I agree with that, but isn't that like I guess my question would be is because you've been in the locker room with guys that I'm sure have been like, I'm done here, right? Like you've been a part of teams that have had some tough seasons. Isn't that one of those things where it's like, well, if you got that mindset now, will you have that mindset when it's, the fourth quarter of a tough game? We had that mindset when, things may get ugly in the playoffs, but we still got a chance to come back in this early. We had that mindset, when things are good, but maybe things get a little tough in a moment on the way to good.
Yeah.
And you go back to, well, there it is. You know what I mean? That's where I think that is the one concern where we can have the expectation we can want to win. There's a lot of players that we saw do that last season that I think are still here.
Yeah, but how do they prepare for those moments? You have to prepare for those moments, right? And that starts in the offseason. Yeah. That starts with practice, right? Sometimes you have to manufacture adversity, right? And everything's all peachy. They got the best of the best, right? The best players in the world. They got everything. You got everything for you to be successful, right? But at the same time, I feel like as a coach and as a staff and as the leaders on the team, you have to create adversity, right? So what's adversity? Drop a pass. Hey, drop a pass. Next man in, you're coming out. Take 2 laps around the field. You know what I'm saying? You have to manufacture some type of adversity. So that way, when we face adverse situations in a game, yes, we can't replicate it, exactly how it was going to be in a game. But to an extent, we can do that. So that way, when that big moment happens, or where it's a critical situation in the game where we got to score, twice to win the game, and there's, 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter, like we have that belief in our preparation and our coaches and our scheme and our players and our leaders that, hey, you know what? We ain't going to throw in the towel and be like, oh, damn, we lost again. No, we're going to fight and try to go out there and win a game. But it starts with, the head coach. It starts with the organization. If you ain't in, you're out. If you ain't buying in, you're out. But you have to be able to create chaos throughout practice, the way you prepare, because that's what the season is going to be like. There's going to be a situation, I don't want it to happen, where one of your key guys is going to go down. Who's the backup? We can't just say, hey, you know what? And I hate throwing out names because I don't want to jinx anything, but hey, this he's going to be healthy the entire season. He's your number one receiver. You know what I mean? Like, it's probably not going to happen. It's probably not going to happen. So, it's the fact that, hey, you know what? I think it's a fresh start. Everybody's going to be on board. We went through that. We had Dick Geron, was there, and, he got fired, and Lovey came in, and it was a whole new way of doing things. And that first year we were terrible. I think we were like 5-11. It was like, wow. And then, our coaching staff came back the following year, and they changed the way we did things, because obviously it didn't work because we won 5 games. And then that next year, we went to the playoffs. You see what I'm saying? So I think we went to the playoffs the next year, but went to the playoffs. You know what I mean? So it's understanding, who you have in the building. That's the scout's job. That's Ryan Poles' job. Those are the guys they're trying to bring in via free agency, making sure you have the right individuals in the building that can help you establish a culture. That's going to hold guys accountable, right? That's going to be overly detail oriented, just like the coaches are. And the guys that aren't bought in, the guys that want to just not do the extra work, the guys that don't really care about winning or don't care about football, those are the guys that have to go. Send them to Green Bay. Send those guys to Green Bay. You know what I mean?
Send them to Green Bay is great. Send them to Packers.
You got to know you got to know your team. But as a head coach and as a GM, you have to understand the DNA of each player on your roster. That 53-man roster has to be like so elite that, hey, if we sustain an injury, bam, next man up, production's not going to slip. Or I'm excited, like I don't want my starter to go down, but I know the backup has so much ability to where if he gets his chance, he's going to kick the door down. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then my practice squad has to be built at an elite level, right? Because those guys are just as important as anybody because they're giving us the looks each and every day at practice. So if we're playing Jaden Daniels, like whoever's playing Jaden Daniels that week, I need an elite look, right? There's only one Jaden Daniels, but I need a look that's going to help us get prepared. You know what I'm saying? So those guys are very important. So like I said, everybody in the building they have to conduct their job at an elite level if you want to have a chance to have good results.
Yeah, 100%. I can't wait to, be at training camp one day and just hopefully that first day, Ben Johnson gives us that you drop a football, you run a mile.
Yeah.
You miss an assignment, you run a mile.
Yeah.
You fumble my football and I will break my foot off in your John Brown Hyde parts. You run a mile.
The great coaches hold everybody accountable, more so their best players. Look at, Bill Belichick cussing out Tom Brady. Hey, Brady, hey. You know what I'm saying? Like it don't matter, man. Like that's an elite operation, right? Yes. That's a head coach that's won rings on rings on rings on rings because it's the Patriot way or the highway.
Yeah.
What's the Bears way? And I ain't, what is it's you don't have to have a theme.
We enough coaches removed from you for you to say that, J-Mac. We 6 coaches in since you was playing on the team. What's the Bears way?
I'm just saying like what is the recipe for success when I say the Bears way? You know what I mean? Like not the Patriot way, that's Bill Belichick's, but they had a way of doing things, right? They had a whole different level of accountability in terms of the way they operated and everything. Like we're going to see now, right? In rookie mini camps this weekend, you get a chance to see Ben Johnson and that staff in action with the young guys.
Yeah.
What is the recipe for success?
Yeah, no, 100%. Like that I'll say this too, right? Like you talk about the Patriot way and I would say, look how long-standing it is, right? It's Bill Belichick's way, except now it's Mike Vrabel's way, who was a Patriot on that team that won Super Bowls, who preaches the Patriot way, right? So now you've set that system. You've set that thing up where Bill Belichick is out. Unfortunately, I don't know if the game truly passed him by, but I think he tried to get cute a little bit at the end there with the DC into an OC. That was kind of wild with Bill O'Brien, but you tried to make that decision. It didn't work. They move on from you. You brought in another Patriot who already is a good head coach to run the Patriot way yet again, essentially continuing that cycle. So you truly never know just how long-standing building that culture is in the beginning, because as you can see in New England, that Patriot way is back around, and man, they made some good moves in the offseason. Drake May is set up for some success this year.
And you look at it like, you even got to look at Kansas City. You know what I mean? I know they didn't win the Super Bowl this year, but they're always, every year, they're one of the best teams in the league, right? Because you have a head coach that understands the recipe for sustained success in the NFL. They don't go out and get the best free agents every year. We're always questioning who's that receiver. You know what I'm saying? There's always big question marks with Kansas City, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, you have an elite quarterback, but at the same time, throughout the season, right, you've seen time and time again, somebody that, is not one of the highly touted players on that roster make a play. Somebody goes down, somebody steps in, they make plays. And it goes back to, the standard, the expectation. It goes back to development, developing your guys, developing the backups to be starters. So that way you don't take a hit when somebody goes down on that roster. Yeah. And, the elite coaches, there's a formula. There's a way you do things, a way you win in the NFL. And if you cut corners, you're going to be exposed.
And they have their guys in there that Andy Reid knows he can trust in those moments. And I'll tell you what, Andy Reid is one who's quick with it. We've seen that multiple times throughout this Kansas City Chiefs dynasty of you keep dropping too many Mahomes touchdowns. So we're going to sit you down and we're going to go find somebody else that can catch these touchdowns. We don't know who that is yet, but we know it's not you. Like, they make the decision quickly. I think that's one thing that we will see from Ben Johnson this season as well. Let's finish it out with this, J-Mac, as a new segment that we've added into the Wednesday podcast. Here, whenever Jason McKie is on, we know Jason McKie was a dog, not just J-Mac, but Lil Mac as well, a dog in this NFL. And so, J-Mac, we got to ask you, who is your dog of the week?
Man, I'll tell you what, I'm a huge boxing fan. And,
Ooh.
I'm going the opposite. Like, so somebody that got dog, Ryan Garcia.
No.
Oh, man. He got knocked up. Ew. Oh, my goodness, Pat.
That's a different dog.
Ryan Garcia. Hot dog, you got knocked out. Boy, Ryan, I didn't expect that. Rolly Romero, right? I did not expect that. I know a lot of people didn't expect that. Ryan Garcia was a heavy favorite in that fight. And, hey, Ryan, you got your ass, you know what? Man. Oh.
No, like, This is the wild part about all that, right? Like it is Ryan done? Like that felt like, not to say you're done, right? I think he continues to box, but like the entire time the question mark around Ryan Garcia has been, are you just a social media boxer? Are you boxing in fights that you know that you're going to win because it looks good for clicks? You put him up against a couple of really, really good boxers. Yeah. He got his butt whooped both times.
I'll tell you what, like, so I don't know, man. Ryan Garcia, that was tough. You know what I mean? Rolly fought a good fight, so we can't take nothing away from him. I thought he fought a great fight. Yeah. That's why he came out on top. And I think if you look at, even Devin Haney, like the fight before that was a dud. Like, I mean, Devin Haney wasn't even throwing punches. Like,
that's my point, right? Like, to me, the biggest fight that he had coming up was Haney versus Garcia too.
Yeah. Like,
I don't want to see that now. Why would I want to watch him get the crap kicked out of him yet again?
They shut down New York City. They shut down Times Square to have Devin Haney fight. They should have made Devin Haney take the subway with his boxing gloves on after the fight. It was such a dud, man. Like, he should have been on the subway with his boxing gloves on. Like, it was terrible. I think the biggest thing that we got that was truly the dog of the week is we finally got the announcement with Terrence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. I think it's September 12th, I think it's going to take place, which is huge. So we finally got that. They announced it's going to be, what is it, Las Vegas, if I'm not mistaken? Like,
Vegas, yeah.
Let's do it. So that's the biggest dog of the week, but Ryan Garcia got dog, and Devin Haney was dog.
Yeah, I mean, it literally the whole week. It was just like, okay,
yeah,
good job. That was. You got to find a star, man. You got to find a star. And I think, is it Bud Crawford? Is like,
yeah, it's gonna be a good fight, man. That's Bud is a monster. Canelo's been consistent. Even this fight he had this weekend wasn't the greatest, but
yeah,
I expect both of those guys to be at their best peak performance. So, boxing fans, we got a treat coming up. So that was the announcement was the dog of the week.
It was your dog. I'm not mad at that. Yeah. My dog of the week, I ain't gonna lie, I gotta give it to the Chomper himself, Buddy Hield. He's been absolutely on a little bit of a tear. Now I'll tell you what, if Buddy Hield if Apple sees Buddy Hield coming, it's in fear of his life. But so is that defense that we saw going up against in the last couple of nights, man. Buddy Hield has been on fire. Yeah. He's been unstoppable. I think that he is all of a sudden awoken with confidence, which he is going to need, because we just got the news that Stephen Curry is already ruled out for Thursday's matchup. Thursday, man. He's going to be out. He's got a grade 1 hamstring strain. Exact return for a timetable for return is unclear, so they're going to need Buddy Hield. The Jimmy Butler Buddy Hield show has been one that has been hilarious to watch, but is it going to be good on the court? That's what's going to be interesting to see here coming up. But that would be my dog of the week, because Buddy been taking a bite out of these defenses, man.
Yeah, he's been on fire, man. But we'll see, man. They're going to definitely miss Steph. Playoff Jimmy can keep showing up, and Buddy can keep doing this thing. I wouldn't put it past him to be able to succeed without Steph in the lineup. But Draymond's been playing well too, so we'll see.
Hey, man, that boy Ant-Man a little different though. To me, I look at Ant-Man. Ant-Man a little different. I get excited when I watch him play basketball, man. I was cracking up. I don't know if you saw the post-game presser where they was like, I guess in the last 2 games they've gone like 7 for no, it was 12 for 75 from the 3-point line. Anthony Edwards was like, well, good thing one of those was in a series win, so I don't care about that one. We're going to shoot better tomorrow. I just love that mindset. I'm like, that sucks. Oh, well, here we go. Hey, man, we appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. For Jason McKie, it's your boy Pat the Designer, back at it again. Let us know your thoughts on all the comments that we talked about today. Caleb Williams, could his expectations be high? Jaylon Johnson coming into this season has the high expectations. Will he meet those expectations? Who was your dog of the week? Let us know in the comments below. All that and more. Appreciate you guys for showing love. As always, y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Bear down. One love.